It's heartbreaking as millions of Americans lose their jobs and wait in line at food banks. Farmers are destroying their crops.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? Today is the 28th of April 2020, and this is a video I've been working on for the last couple days, and I really want to get it out to you because I know it's going to be just as disturbing to you as it is to me. Alright, let's get into this. Farmers are destroying their own crops after the coronavirus ravaged the food market and say USDA failed to help them get it to hungry Americans in time. Yeah, they failed to do it because they don't want it to get to the American people that are starving. They don't want this. We all know, if you go back last year, what happened in the spring? Horrible flooding. Just devastated all the farming that spring. Well, come this year, we're not even into the flooding or the severe weather. We're getting into the severe weather. There's some tonight, and I'm doing a video on that and most likely a live stream on that. But we're not even to that yet, and now they've already had to destroy almost all their crops. I mean, this is just, it's horrible. It's an attack on the people who need the food, us. That's the thing. They're trying to cause massive food shortages, and they're doing it. They know that they can completely control us by just cutting off our food supply. All right, let's read this. Millions of pounds of food is being wasted on U.S. farms after demand collapsed because of the coronavirus pandemic. According to multiple reports, farmers are pouring thousands of gallons of milk down the drain and crushing ripe fruit and vegetables back into the soil with heavy machinery because they have no way to put it on the market for a profit. The waste is due to a collapse in parts of the service industry forced to close because of the virus. It means buyers like restaurants, hotels, schools, and sports venues no longer need ingredients, which has in turn caused the demand to plummet, in some cases, to half its regular levels. This is just horrible. And remember, they did all of this. All of this has been caused because of what? These bogus death rates, these bogus death numbers. We know they're lies, flat out. We've showed the proof.
Illinois' virus-related death toll continues to climb. The director of public health took time today to explain how the department rules someone an actual COVID death. It can be a little confusing. She says anyone who has COVID when they pass away will be included in that category. Dr. Ngozi Ezike explained this does not mean the virus caused that death, but if someone does test positive for COVID before dying, that is classified a coronavirus fatality.
You were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death.
They're counting almost every death as a COVID death. If they want to count it as a COVID death, they're going to count it as a COVID death. And because of those numbers, they are still not allowing people to live their lives, open their businesses, and for everything to try to reopen back up. It never should have been shut down in the first place because it had nothing to do with them shutting it down for this virus. It was for these reasons. These are the reasons they did it. The federal government launched a program to redistribute this food, setting aside $3 billion for the U.S. Department of Agriculture to buy it up and send it to struggling Americans. However, industry leaders and lawmakers have complained that USDA failed to launch the program quick enough, leaving producers with no choice but to waste huge quantities of food. It's just horrible. People are starving, waiting in lines. People are just struggling just to feed their children. And all of this food is just rotting, getting destroyed, and it's hard to even think about. It really is. Surplus fruit and vegetables have been plowed back into the ground in a process known as remulching. This prevents the crops rotting in the field and attracting pests. Producers in some states have been asked by the Cooperative Dairy Farmers of America to dump thousands of gallons of milk, which is now unsellable.
The dairy industry has been particularly hit hard by the coronavirus crisis. Consumption of milk is way down because schools and restaurants are closed. We were there as New York State dairy farmer Patrick Grimshaw poured his entire production of milk for the day down the drain. He's done it every day for 3 weeks. Estimated loss, $90,000.
We've been dumping, we've probably given away 500 gallons of milk so far to the public because legally we can't sell raw milk, but we can give it away. So anything we can do to help our community.
He says it's not practical to stop milking his cows.
There's no turning the cows off. To get up every morning knowing you're going to lose money and have to work just as hard as you did the day before.
One typical dairy in Wisconsin, the Golden E Dairy, has been pouring up to 25,000 gallons of milk down the drain. Although the co-op has paid for the wastage so far, it's unclear how long this can continue. At the same time, there is an increased demand at food banks as newly furloughed and laid-off workers struggle to feed their families. One of the country's leading food bank networks, Feeding America, released a report on April 22nd, which said that the virus could cause a record number of children to go without proper food.
Now to that warning from the CEO of Tyson Foods. Tonight, he says the U.S. food supply chain is breaking because so many workers who process meat have coronavirus. And farmers say their crops meant for schools and restaurants are rotting. This comes at the same time that food banks are running low and lines are long. As CBS's Manuel Bojorquez reports, it's because of a lack of a federal plan to distribute the food.
When Florida farmer Sam Accurcio saw demand from the food service industry plummet, he did what he could with the tomatoes that were ripe for harvesting.
So we've just been giving them away what we can, but we just simply have too much. People could be living off of what we have to throw away.
The result? Millions of pounds of Florida tomatoes and squash were left to rot. In Idaho, farmers are putting out potato pyramids for people to take. In the Midwest, dairy farmers have dumped millions of gallons of milk. The cruel irony is all of this is happening while Americans wait in long lines for food donations. 120,000 people a week at the San Antonio Food Bank.
It is criminal. It's a shame that food should never go to waste.
Farmers and food banks had pleaded with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to connect the oversupply with the growing need. Florida's Agriculture Commissioner said she'd asked for help for nearly a month, but the department didn't announce a plan until 10 days ago.
Should this intervention have happened before?
We needed to have acted sooner because it's put stress on charitable organizations like the Feeding America food banks that our inventory is running out.
And until the federal program catches up, some farmers say they will still have to euthanize livestock and chickens.
We reached out to the USDA, which said it's working as quickly as possible and plans to start purchasing food for distribution by the end, or actually over the next week. But given the current disruptions, one expert we spoke with warned that some grocery stores could start to see meat shortages by the end of this week. Nora?
Quite a warning there.
You know, this makes me so upset. Do you still think it's okay, Cuomo? Do you think it's okay, all you, Birx and Fauci and all you? Is it okay now to keep everything locked down? Oh, of course it is, because that's what you want. You are evil. You know what this is causing, and you enjoy it. You will get your day. You will be judged, and you will have to accept and take the punishment. Tom Bislak, a former Secretary of Agriculture under the Obama administration, told Politico, "It's not a lack of food. It's that the food is in one place and the demand is somewhere else, or they haven't been able to connect the dots." Back in March, industry leaders and lawmakers called on USDA to step in by buying up the surplus and redistributing it to food banks.
Local food distribution sites close in our area. The Hilario Center in Westwego shut down Friday, and this afternoon, LaSalle Park and Airline Highway in Metairie suspended its operations.
As Kimberly Kurth reports, Second Harvest Food Bank will now focus on smaller neighborhood distribution locations.
Let's go! Let's go! All you have to do is look at the line of cars here at LaSalle Park in Metairie to get an idea of just how big of a need there is during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are still tabulating the totals. It's easily into the tens of thousands of people across this area.
Second Harvest Food Bank shut down its food distribution sites at the Hilario Center in Westwego and at LaSalle Park. Now they're planning to open smaller neighborhood locations to get food closer to where people live. We're told the nonprofit will serve 23 parishes, and it anticipates responding for months to come.
Early on in this whole emergency, we described it as overwhelming, and that was accurate. It was a time a couple of weeks ago we were really short on food, and the demand when folks had just suddenly lost their jobs, it was incredible. Now we have a bit more in terms of the food that's coming in. Folks are getting some of their benefits in, SNAP, food stamps, and things like that. So the need has leveled off, but it is still extremely high.
The Louisiana National Guard has been assisting at the food distribution sites.
The average age of our guardsmen are 22 years old. Most of them had jobs that were impacted by the economic shutdown and a COVID-19 pandemic. So they're appreciative that they can help out their community. It's impacting them personally, and they're happy that they can give back.
Second Harvest Food Bank says it's been able to keep up with the demand thanks to donations from celebrities as well as the public.
We've been having to purchase and trying to purchase more food than we ever had. Just close to $500,000 in just the last couple of weeks. At the same time, there are supply chain problems that are starting to loosen up. So it is a challenge. We have an incredible team of staff and volunteers, the help of the National Guard as well, working as a team. Right now, we're getting the food we need, but it's almost a day-to-day, week-to-week thing.
In Florida, Commissioner of Agriculture Nikki Fried, a Democratic representative, led congressional calls to USDA to take action. But it was not until around a month later, on April 17th, that President Donald Trump directed USDA to launch its $19 billion coronavirus food assistance program. Really? April 17th. We've been in this for a month, and that's when they decided to figure this out and do it? Yeah, it's because it's all planned. This is all planned. The program is meant to provide direct support to farmers and devote $3 billion to buying up fresh fruits and vegetables, meat, and dairy products at a rate of about $300 million a month. Yeah, that might sound like a lot, but what happened to all the damn money from the $1 trillion spending that they just got? You know, the surplus, you know, that they just approved, where we all got a tiny percentage of it, and all the rest went to what? Your banks, all your high-end level companies. Why didn't that go to the farmers? Maybe because they don't want it to. People need to open their eyes and stop just not being able to see that this isn't because, oh, some red tape here, or because we can't connect the dots. No, it's because the plan is starve you out, kill all the crops, get rid of all of that, and then guess what? You cripple the people. And they know that the more that they can cripple us and take us away from unity, which is what this all is too. Think about it. What's social distancing besides cutting off your contact with anyone else to maybe love them, comfort them, support them, right? You're not allowed to do that. People are, you know, right now killing themselves from suicide at an extremely high rate. Domestic violence is skyrocketing. Child abuse is skyrocketing. All these things are happening. And you can't even go and comfort somebody that maybe just lost a loved one to, you know, drug overdose or, you know, suicide or something like that. You can't even give them a hug, right? They're taking the love out of this world. If you cannot see this is truly a war of good versus evil, all I can do is just say, man, open your eye. This food will then be redistributed to the food banks, faith organizations, and other nonprofits. However, it may have come too late. Yeah, I say it's too late. Yep. Federal officials think the process of buying up and redistributing the food could take another month, by which the time peak season will have passed. Of course, what do you know? Another peak growing season that is completely destroyed, just like last year with all the flooding. Do you think these are coincidences, people? I know my subscribers don't, and I hope if this video finds you, you can see these are not coincidences. They all line up for a reason. Brittany Lee, a blueberry farmer and executive director of the Blueberry Growers Association, told Politico that the help would come too late for Florida farmers. Commissioner Fried called the move too little too late in a letter to USDA on April 22nd, which said that the USDA plan would cover little of Florida's forecast $522 million agricultural losses. There are serious concerns over payment caps that cover just a small fraction of losses our producers have already experienced, she said in a letter to USDA. For weeks, we have called for immediate federal purchases to help our fresh fruit and vegetable producers mitigate these losses, but the purchases coming now may be too late in the season for Florida farmers to benefit. Yep, they could have taken all that food, got it all to these food banks, distributed it, no problem. Our government doesn't want that. Business Insider has approached the USDA for comment. The department told Politico in a statement that it had moved quickly to avert the situation. Really? It had moved quickly. It took you this long, all the way till the end of April, to figure out that, oh, if I shut down every economy and I close all these businesses and schools and restaurants, oh, maybe the farmers won't have anywhere to sell their produce. Oh, but let's wait months and months, and then, oh, but we acted quickly. You didn't act quickly. You acted on the plan that you have been set out from the beginning. Let's just stick in this together. I know that we are getting this information out to people, and each day I know more and more are waking up and truly seeing the truth, and that's all that we can continue to do. And in the last couple days, I have truly been rejuvenated. The Lord has given me some new information, new drive, and new just, you know, I don't want to say it's not hate. It's just, you know, I want to get this information out more than I ever have before. Talking to families, talking to, you know, people that are struggling desperately around this country just makes me want to get this out as much as I can. Also, we have to keep praying. I know personally, and I know most of you know, that prayer is so powerful. So we're going to keep continuing to pray every day at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whenever you can pray. Just pray once a day against this evil that is continuously attacking us. We will succeed in the end. We know what happens. We are the ones that are safe. We are the ones that get to go home. They will deal with all of their evil, wicked ways. They will deal with their judgment. Thank each and every one of you. Keep your heads up. We're going to get through this. I truly feel it in my spirit. I feel everybody coming together. So let's just keep this up. We'll talk to you all really, really soon. God bless.